Hi friends, today I want to lead you through a beginner yoga class. So this can be for anyone who is just wanting to learn the foundational poses of a Hatha Vinyasa style of practice. So we're just going to begin in a child's pose. So sinking hips to heels, you can bring the knees together or knees as wide as the mat. When you take the knees apart, you get a little bit more in the hips. If you keep them together, you get a little bit more relief in the back. So whatever you need there, and you can either extend the hands out in front of you or sweep them back towards the feet, whatever feels best in the body. And just take a moment to land there, just finding a moment of grounding. If you find that the head does not reach the mat, feel free to bring a block underneath the forehead. Or if you find that the hips are high away from the feet, you can bring a blanket or something in between the thighs and the calves for a little bit of cushion. And once you land, let's just take a couple of breaths here. So maybe just breathing in through the nose and breathing out of the mouth. 2 more times, inhaling and exhaling, filling up and letting go. When you're ready, we'll lift up, coming into tabletop position. So all fours, hands right underneath your shoulders and knees under your hips. Peek through the legs and make sure that you can't see the feet off to one side, so make sure that they're right in line with the knees. We'll find cat and cow. So as you inhale for your cow pose, we'll drop the belly down, gaze goes up to the sky, finding space. As you exhale, draw your chin into your chest, round through the back, cat pose. Inhale, pulling the heart forward, and exhale to round. And so we move through these 2 shapes just to find relief in the back. It helps to warm up the spine. And we move through what's called spinal extension when we find our cow pose, and spinal flexion when we find our cat pose. And just take a couple of rounds in each direction. If you ever notice that you find pain in the wrist when you come into these tabletop positions, feel free to find fists to the mat if that feels better in the body. Know that this is your practice and you can make any adjustments or changes as you need. We'll just take another round in each direction. And then gently meeting back in the center, finding a neutral spine. On your next inhale, extend the right foot behind you. So we'll start with the toes on the mat just to find that grounding and foundation, checking in with your hands. So spread the fingers nice and wide. Make sure that you're grounding through all points, so not dumping the weight into the wrist. On your next inhale, float the toes away from the mat. We'll continue to flex through the foot and think about drawing the belly button in towards the spine. So you're finding this place of balance as you press up against gravity. We'll take another breath in. As you exhale, draw your knee into your nose. So just crunching and rounding, finding a little bit of core work here. Inhale to extend. Exhale, pull it in. 2 more times. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale, pull it forward. And last time, reach it long and pull it in. And gently reset in your tabletop. Maybe take 1 round of cat and cow, opening through the heart and closing off. And neutral spine, we'll find that on the other side. So starting by extending the left foot behind, toes tucked under at the back of the mat. Again, just find that foundation, find that grounding through the hands and the one knee. And then float the left toes away from the mat. Continue to flex through the foot, spread the toes, press up against gravity, and don't forget about pulling the belly button into the spine. We'll take a breath in. Exhale, draw your knee into your nose. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale, pull it in. A few more times, just go with your breath. Finding that little gentle core warming, that heat building. Last time. Exhale, we'll pull in. And reset in your tabletop. 1 round of cat and cow. Open up and close off. From here, tuck the toes under. We'll find our first downward facing dog. So feel free to stay in tabletop if that serves you better. But alternatively, you'll come into downward facing dog, which is just an upside down shaped feet. You can play around with bending the knees here. If you have tight hamstrings, you want to keep the feet about hip distance apart or wider. So find space here. Pressing the chest forward, belly towards your thighs, and draw the belly button into the spine. Know that it doesn't matter if your heels touch the mat. You're just finding length here in the shape. We'll take another breath in and a breath out. Next, inhale, rise high onto the toes. Begin to walk your feet to your hands. So we're coming to the top of the mat. Take the feet about hip distance apart and find a ragdoll. Grab hold of opposite elbow. We're just swaying side to side, allowing the head and neck to hang heavy, allowing ease in the body. Maybe shake the head yes and no. And gently releasing your bind, one vertebrae at a time. Roll all the way up to stand. Head and shoulders arrive last. Big shoulder roll at the top. Take a full breath in and a breath out. On your next inhale, both hands sweep high to the sky. Gaze to the fingertips. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Forward fold. Halfway lift, find a flat back so you can draw hands to shins here. Exhale, release the hands down. We'll step the right foot back, coming into a low crescent lunge. So soften the knee down. And then inhale, bring your hands to your knees as you lift up. Take a moment to stack everything on top of one another. You can keep your hands on your knees, bring your hands to heart, or bring your hands high to the sky if that feels okay in the body. Just continue to relax the shoulders away from the ear wherever you are. And then drawing the inner thighs towards one another as you root down through that left hip and the right knee. Think about pulling them towards one another to continue to lift up out of the shape. We'll take another breath in here. As you exhale, release the hands down to frame the foot. We'll step back to plank pose. So tuck the back toes, lift the knee. Right or left foot meets the right at the back of the mat. Coming to your high push-up position, we'll lower down knees, chest, and chin to the mat. So all the way down to the belly. Inhale, Cobra Pose, heart scoops forward. Hips to heels, child's pose, send it back. We'll take a breath in and release it out. Inhale, lifting up to your downward facing dog. Hips up and back. We return to that shape. Take a breath here and let it go. Inhale, high onto the toes. Begin to walk your feet all the way to the top of the mat. Once again, roll one vertebrae at a time all the way up to stand. Once you get here, take a big shoulder roll. Return to your mountain pose. Next, inhale, both hands go high, gaze to the fingertips. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at your hips. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale and fold. Stepping the left foot back, soften the knee down. We return to the low lunge. So bringing your hands to your knees to begin with, lifting up to stack. Again, you can stay here or bring your hands to heart or lift hands high overhead. And just take a moment to land. Continue to soften the shoulders. Continue to pull the belly button in towards the spine to protect the low back. We'll take another breath in. Next, exhale, release the hands down, framing the foot. Step back to your plank pose. So returning to that high push-up position. And then we'll lower knees, chest, and chin all the way to the mat. Cobra Pose, heart scoops forward. Hips to heels, child's pose, send it back. Take a couple of breaths here just to land. Starting to get the heart rate up a little bit as we move through these shapes. Now we're a little bit more warm. We'll go ahead and make our way to downward facing dog. And then walk your feet to your hands, top of the mat. Once you're here, rise all the way to stand. One vertebrae at a time. Big shoulder roll at the top as we land into our mountain. We'll go through our standing series from here. So stepping the left foot back, we'll come into warrior one. So stepping the left foot back, so you have a wide stance. We'll land that foot about 45 degrees, turning the left hip to the top of the mat. So thinking about everything square to the top of the mat, bending deeply into your right knee, and then reach both hands high to the sky. In these standing shapes, you can also bring your hands together at your heart center if that feels better for the shoulders. But once you land here, just make sure that you can still see your big toe. Make sure you're stacking that knee right over the ankle to maintain that strength in the quad. And relax the shoulders if the hands are lifted. So warrior one, we have so much going on here. So you may feel some stretching, you may feel some strengthening. Just observe, just notice. We'll just take another breath here. And on your next exhale, opening to warrior two. So arms come to a T. We take that back foot parallel to the short edge of the mat, and then we're bending into that right knee. So this is what's considered an open hip posture. So we're tracking that right knee open. You'll feel the opening of that right hip, a little bit more space there. Wherever you are, begin to flip the palms facing up to relax the shoulders away from the ears, and then you can flip them right on back over. We'll just take another breath here. Fill it out, let it go. Next, inhale, flip the right palm and reverse back. Find space here for your peaceful warrior. So that left hand lands on the back of the left leg, and you'll find that deep stretch for the right side of the body. Take another breath in here. As you exhale, tilt forward, bring in that right arm to the thigh, extended side angle. Left hand sweeps up and over. So for this shape, we'll find a deep stretch along the left side of the body. A little bit more of a strengthening to keep yourself lifting up out of the pose. So try not to dump all of your weight into that right leg. Think about bringing the palm to face down to the mat so that you externally rotate that shoulder. We'll take another breath here and slowly begin to peel yourself back up, warrior two. From here, we'll shift into our high lunge. So sweeping the left hand forward, square off through the hips one more, and you're coming onto the ball of the left foot. So a little bit of a balance challenge. So it's okay if you're wobbly here. Sometimes that transition can feel a little unnatural for some. Notice if you can strengthen through the back leg. So keeping it lifting high to the sky, heel right over the toes. Keep the bend in the right knee. We'll take another breath here. And then draw your hands together at your heart and step feet together at the top of the mat. Take a breath in and a breath out. And we'll take that same flow on the other side. So stepping the right foot back as we come into our warrior one. So stepping it way back, finding that 45-degree angle. Again, keeping your hips square and bending deeply into that left knee. Once you're there, option to lift both hands high or draw hands together and down to heart. We'll just take a couple of breaths here just to fill it out. Usually the sides of the body can be a little different, so notice if anything is different here. We'll take another breath in. On your next exhale, open to warrior two. So find space here. Again, that right foot is going to come parallel to the short edge of the back of the mat, and you're bending into that left knee, making sure you can still see your left big toe. And again, flipping both palms to the sky to relax through the shoulders, and then flipping them right on back over. And we'll just take another breath or two here just to fill it out. And then when you're ready, flip the left palm, reverse your warrior, peaceful warrior, as you take it back. Take a breath in, find that space in the left side of the body. And then extended side angle, take it forward. Left arm lands onto that left thigh. Right hand sweeps up and over. Again, just turning the palm facing down. Pulling the shoulder away from the ear. We'll take just another breath here. And then slowly peel yourself right on back up, coming into your warrior two. High crescent lunge, so we sweep the right hand forward, pivot onto the ball of the back foot. Again, it's okay if you're wobbly and you need to readjust. Again, maintaining that strength in the back leg as you lift it to the sky, and then keeping that bend in the left knee. We'll take another breath here. Draw your hands together and down to your heart, and then step feet together at the top of the mat. Take a breath in and a breath out. And as we wrap up our standing series, we're going to find a little bit of balancing. So coming into our tree pose. So starting by opening through that right knee, we're finding this externally rotated hip. So you can start with this kickstand with the heel landing onto your left leg. Option to stay here or begin to float the foot up a little higher so you can bring it to your calf, or you can bring it all the way to the inner thigh. Wherever you are, think about lifting up out of the standing leg. So try not to dump all of the weight in that hip. Keep everything nice and balanced. Tracking that right knee open. You can bring your hands together at your heart center. We'll just take 3 breaths here. So option to keep the hands, or if you want a little bit more challenge, you can lift the hands high to find your branches. Maybe you close the eyes, just whatever you need. It's okay if you're wobbly or if you fall out. We'll just take another breath here. And when you're ready, slowly begin to release the hands back to heart and release the foot. We'll just shake it out, and then we'll take it on the other side. So grounding through the right leg, begin to open through that left knee. Again, you can kickstand or lift the leg a little higher, whatever placement feels best on this side. Once you ground, remember to lift up out of the standing leg. You can keep your hands together at your heart or begin to grow your branches. Find your space, find your one point to focus on. Maybe close the eyes if you want a little bit more challenge. And we'll just take another breath here. And when you're ready, draw your hands back together and down to your heart and release through the leg. Take a moment to shake it out. We'll make our way down to the mat. So next inhale, both hands go high, gaze up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at your hips. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale and fold, plant the hands, step back to plank pose, last time. We'll lower down knees, chest and chin, all the way to the mat. Cobra Pose, heart scoops forward. Hips to heels, child's pose, send it back. Take a breath in and a breath out. From your child's, begin to walk the hands over to the right side of the mat. Maybe the left hand comes on top. It's taking a moment to find space in the left side of the body. And we'll walk hands right back through center and take it over to the other side. And we'll walk hands back to center and then gently walk them in as you lift yourself up. Shift your hips over to one side and swing your legs around out in front of you as you come into a seat. Flexing through the foot, spread the toes. You can bring the hands to the side as you lengthen through the back, and then just begin to walk the hands forward just a little bit. You can bring a bend in the knee if needed as we find our forward fold. This is Paschimottanasana. And we'll just take let's do another 2 breaths here. Just observing and noticing, feeling, experiencing. And slowly begin to walk the hands back in. We'll draw the right knee into chest. And you can stay here or cross the leg over. Bring the right hand behind you and then hug the knee into the chest. Gaze over the right shoulder behind you. Just finding a little bit of space there. And then counter your twist. Come over to the left. And returning back to center, extend the right leg, pull the left knee in. Again, you can cross that foot over, bring the left hand behind you, and then hug that knee in as you gaze over the shoulder behind you. Take another breath here. And find a brief counter over to the right. And returning right back to center, take a moment to extend the legs, and we'll make our way down to our back. So coming to lie down completely, maybe finding a full body stretch when you land, reaching from fingertip to toe. And then draw both knees into your chest, just curling into a little ball, maybe find a little bit of rocking. And then bringing the soles of the feet to the mat. We'll take the right ankle over the left knee for supine pigeon, so figure 4. You can stay here, just pressing the right knee to the top right corner, or maybe you interlace your fingers behind the left thigh and pull that figure 4 into the chest. We'll find opening through the right hip. You may feel it in the hamstring. Just find a little bit of space here. We'll just take a couple of breaths. And when you're ready, gently release. We'll switch it up, go the opposite way. So crossing the left ankle over the right knee. Again, you can stay here just tracking that left knee open, or interlace your fingers behind the right thigh and pull the figure 4 into your chest. And then once again, just take a couple of breaths here. We're just finding space in the hip, finding that opening. And when you're ready, gently release, and we'll find a brief Shavasana. So extending the legs long. As we come into corpse pose, you just bring your hands to your side, palms lifting up. And it's just a moment to find grounding. So allowing yourself space to soak up your practice, to just release the urge to want to do or be a certain way. And just allow yourself to be present and notice what shows up when you allow yourself to get still. And begin to deepen your breath here. You can find some small movement, like wiggling your fingers and toes, just arriving back into this moment. Rotating wrists and ankles. Maybe moving into one more full body stretch. Before pulling knees into your chest, giving yourself a squeeze, maybe find some gentle rocking side to side. And then we'll rock over to your favorite side, just pausing in a fetal position. So taking your time to transition back up. When you're ready, we'll slowly press yourself up, returning to that cross-leg position. And your eyes can remain closed as you inhale your hands high overhead, press the palms together, and exhale them down to your heart center, sealing in your practice. Namaste.